A fateful evening at the Jimmy Kimmel Live studio witnessed one of the most intense confrontations in television history. When legendary rapper Snoop Dogg faced blatant disrespect from Jimmy Kimmel, no one expected a seemingly ordinary interview to turn into a fiery battle over dignity and truth. This incident not only shocked Hollywood, but also exposed the dark side of the entertainment industry, where power and ratings sometimes overshadow all moral values. Before diving into the story, comment where you're watching from and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the latest stories. Tension had already enveloped the Jimmy Kimmel Live studio even before the cameras started rolling. When Snoop Dogg walked out, the air was thick with unease. He was a legend, but Jimmy Kimmel's smile as he greeted him was strangely cold. No congratulations for the new project, just a preemptive strike with sarcastic remarks. Welcome back, Snoop Dogg. You're looking as fresh as ever. Any chance the secret's in those smoky clouds I keep seeing online? My audience is dying to know, Kimmel said, his tone seemingly playful, but his eyes anything but. Snoop Dogg raised an eyebrow, his signature sly smile appearing. He sat down slowly. Ha, Jimmy, you're still the same. I'm fresh as because I keep it real. But what about you? Is your secret trying to burn others to keep your show from tanking? Laughter erupted, but it was no longer comfortable. The audience began to feel awkward, unease evident on their faces, as they realized this wasn't a typical back and forth. After Snoop Dogg's sharp retort, Kimmel's smile stiffened, though he tried to maintain a casual demeanor. Undeterred, he pressed further into the guest's personal life, clearly ignoring Snoop's obvious displeasure. He seemed to relish the growing discomfort on the legendary rapper's face. "Oh, Snoop, burn others, I'm just trying to keep this interview real," Kimmel said, leaning back in his chair, his eyes scanning the audience for approval. "You know, your fans don't just want to hear about your new album or those viral videos. They want to know about the man Calvin Broadus. For instance, that rumor about the police visiting you last week over that incident in Cali. Is it true? My audience is dying to know." Snoop Dogg's expression shifted. The smile on his face vanished. He looked straight at Kimmel, his dark brown eyes now gleaming with icy resolve. "Jimmy, we agreed on the interview topics. I'm here to talk about Doggy-style records, about new artists, about how we're changing the music game. As for the other stuff, that's my personal life, and I think you're professional enough to respect that." His voice lowered, each word deliberate, a polite but firm reminder. Kimmel laughed loudly, the sound echoing through the studio. "Oh, Snoop, professional, you trying to teach me how to run my show? This is Jimmy Kimmel Live, not some boring press conference. My audience expects the truth, the raw stuff. You can't just come here and dictate what I get to hear." Snoop Dogg leaned forward slightly, his eyes locked on Kimmel. He tapped his finger lightly on his thigh, impatience rising. "The truth is, I'm not here to be your toy for amusement. The truth is, you're crossing a line. You're trying to stir up drama by digging into other people's personal lives, and that's not real at all. It's just disrespectful." Hundreds of eyes in the studio fixed on the two men on stage. Whispers grew louder. Snoop Dogg's team, seated in the VIP area, exchanged worried glances. His manager, an older man with years of experience, pulled out his phone, fingers quickly swiping across the screen. Kimmel didn't flinch. He flashed an irritating smirk. "Oh, Snoop Dogg's giving me a lecture on professional ethics now. You're a bit sensitive, aren't you? Didn't you rap about living outside the laws? Or is our gangster legend afraid of being exposed on TV now?" Snoop Dogg stayed silent for a few seconds, his eyes darkening. The studio seemed to hold its breath. The audience's discomfort was palpable, with no more forced laughter. Many pulled out their phones, ready to capture whatever was about to happen. They sensed a historic moment approaching. "Jimmy," Snoop Dogg said slowly, his voice deeper, colder, each word carved from stone. "I've rapped about a lot of things, Jimmy. About life, about struggle, about truth. But I never rapped about exploiting others to make myself famous. I never put others down to make myself great." He paused, staring straight at Kimmel, his gaze piercing through the host's fake comedic mask. "What are you doing here? You're destroying yourself. Or do you think your ratings can save your soul?" Kimmel forced a loud laugh, a weak attempt to hide the anger boiling inside. "Ha, sounds like a new Snoop Dogg rap. Destroying myself. That's dramatic, Snoop. But this isn't your music stage. This is my show. And I'm in charge here. You don't get to decide what I say or ask on my air. He slammed his hand on the desk, the sharp sound startling some front row audience members. If you're not willing to play ball, don't expect any viral moments. Snoop Dogg's manager stood up, ready to step onto the stage. But a member of Kimmel's production team blocked him, shaking their head to signal not to intervene. Chaos began to brew backstage. Staff members whispered frantically over headsets, trying to control a situation Kimmel was clearly pushing beyond control. Snoop Dogg said nothing more. He just stared at Kimmel, his eyes full of contempt. Words had become pointless. Kimmel had crossed every boundary, turning the interview into an unavoidable confrontation. Kimmel seemed to take Snoop Dogg's calm as an invitation to push further. He leaned forward, his eyes sharp, his smile gone, replaced by the brazen look of someone looking for a fight. But, nothing more to say. Snoop, Kimmel mocked, his tone dripping with disdain. You're out of words, or are you worried I'll dig deeper into that recent financial mess with Doggy Style Records? About those backroom deals you signed, and why some of your old partners suddenly disappeared from your contact list? Or that drama with some former associates the media's whispering about? The audience wants transparency. Snoop, they want to know if their gangster legend is still as real as they say, or just a PR machine, covering up the stains of a crumbling empire. Kimmel's words landed like a direct slap, no longer playful jabs, but venomous attacks aimed at Snoop Dogg's business credibility and personal reputation. The studio went silent. The audience stopped whispering, sensing the danger in the air. Snoop Dogg shook his head slightly, a contemptuous smile on his lips. His eyes no longer held coldness, but deep disappointment. Jimmy, you're turning yourself into a clown, a cheap clown, using cheap tricks to cling to whatever fame you've got left. I came here to share music, to bring joy and hope to people, through new projects, opportunities for the next generation. But you just want to bring toxicity. You think those cheap rumors will get you ratings, or that putting others down will elevate you. Let me tell you, you're on the wrong path, my friend. Kimmel slammed his hand on the desk, the sound echoing in the dead silence of the studio. His face flushed red, veins bulging on his forehead. His humorous, friendly facade had completely crumbled, revealing an authoritarian, out-of-control man. Don't you dare lecture me. Snoop Dogg, Kimmel roared, his voice hoarse with rage, like a cornered animal. This is my show. I make the rules. You're a guest. You follow my rules. Who are you? A has-been rapper. An old man who just smokes weed, and now wants to preach morals to me. You're not on my level. You think you can come here, act like a legend, and do whatever you want. Ridiculous. Snoop Dogg stood up, his imposing height commanding attention. He looked straight at Kimmel, his eyes now burning with a fire, not of uncontrolled anger, but of pride and dignity. A terrifying calm, amidst Kimmel's fury. I'm Snoop Dogg, he replied, his voice deep and resonant, overpowering Kimmel's rage. I've been in this game longer than your career. I've seen plenty of guys like you, Jimmy. Guys who think they're the center of it all, who think TV power lets them disrespect anyone, dig into private lives for scandals. They use their seat to dirty up the small screen. But let me tell you, real power isn't in that chair you're sitting in. It's in the respect you earn from the public, from your peers, from yourself. And you're getting none of that from me anymore. All you're getting is contempt. He took a step toward Kimmel, his expression eerily calm. I'm not some old weed smokers, for you to exploit. I'm a businessman who built an empire, an artist who's given decades to music, a father who raised his kids right. And I came here to share something good, to inspire. But you, Jimmy, you're just a pathetic guy, trying to chase views by polluting your own space. You're destroying what you have, ruining your own reputation, all because of your greed and lack of ethics. You're not even worth me sitting here watching you make a fool of yourself. Kimmel clenched his teeth, his jaw tight with pain. He hadn't expected Snoop Dogg to respond so powerfully, so eloquently, with such dignity. Snoop's words weren't just an accusation. They were a direct punch to Kimmel's arrogant ego. He stepped back slightly, off balance. No, I'm not pathetic. You're lying, Kimmel stammered, trying to salvage some credibility. You're the troublemaker. You're the one trying to ruin my show. You're the unprofessional one. I'm not insulting you, Jimmy, Snoop Dogg replied coldly, his voice lower, tinged with regret for his opponent's foolishness. I'm just stating the truth. The truth is you've lost control of yourself. The truth is you're wrecking your own career with that mouth, with the way you treat your guests. And the truth is, I'm not staying here another second to watch it. Your show isn't worth my time, or anyone's who has self-respect. He turned his back on Kimmel, facing the audience, his eyes sweeping the room with an apologetic but resolute look. Sorry for this circus, folks. I came here to bring joy, to share something good, not this mess. He gave a slight bow to the audience, a gesture of absolute respect for those who'd supported him, and a final act of disdain for Kimmel, whom he didn't even glance at again. Snoop Dogg walked away from Jimmy Kimmel, leaving behind a resounding statement that echoed through the studio. For Kimmel, it wasn't just defiance. It was a public humiliation, unacceptable on his own home turf. His face burned red with fury, veins throbbing on his forehead. His eyes darted wildly, searching for validation, or someone to vent his anger on. He hadn't expected Snoop Dogg to turn the tables with such poise. Cut to commercial. Cut to commercial. Now, Kimmel bellowed, his voice hoarse with rage, drowning out the sudden ad break music. His gaze locked onto Snoop Dogg, who was calmly walking toward the wings, unrushed and unfazed. Hey you. Where do you think you're going? Snoop Dogg paused at the edge of the stage, just before the black curtain. He didn't fully turn back, just tilted his head slightly, enough for Kimmel to see the contemptuous smirk on his lips. It was a smile devoid of warmth or humor, only absolute disdain. You think I need someone to escort me, Jimmy? Snoop Dogg said, his voice steady, eerily calm, a stark contrast to Kimmel's frenzy. I came here on my own 2 feet, and I'll leave on them too. I'm not a prisoner in your show. Kimmel jumped up from his chair, stepping out from behind his desk, his face contorted with anger. You're rude. Security, get this guy out now. I don't want to see his face on my stage for another second. He pointed at Snoop Dogg, his finger trembling, looking like a child throwing a tantrum. Immediately, 2 large security guards in black rushed toward Snoop Dogg, but Snoop merely raised a hand, a simple yet commanding gesture, as if ordering them to stop. The guards hesitated, visibly conflicted. They'd worked with Snoop Dogg before, knew who he was, and clearly didn't want to cross a legend like him. No need, boys, Snoop Dogg said to the guards, his tone friendlier. I got this. This is between me and your boss. He emphasized boss with biting sarcasm. Then he turned back to face Kimmel, who stood stunned by the defiance of both Snoop and his own staff. Snoop's eyes were ice cold. And you, Jimmy, he continued, his voice resonating through the silent studio. Take a good look at yourself. Your show, it's starting to stink. Respect isn't something you can buy with cheap ratings. With that, Snoop Dogg turned decisively, and disappeared behind the curtain. He left with the dignity of a king exiting a kingdom unworthy of him. His proud departure left Kimmel alone on stage, his face pale with rage and embarrassment. The studio held its breath for a moment, then a loud jeer broke the silence. Jerk! A man's voice shouted from the audience. Jimmy, you messed up, a woman yelled. Applause for Snoop Dogg started sporadically, then erupted, mixed with whistles and fierce criticism aimed at Kimmel. Many audience members, unable to contain their anger, stood and left immediately, their footsteps echoing, as they stormed out, not bothering to wait for the show's end. They felt insulted on Snoop Dogg's behalf. A man who'd always brought joy and authenticity. Snoop Dogg was gone, leaving Jimmy Kimmel alone on stage, his face ashen with fury and humiliation. The jeers and protests from the audience continued unabated, turning the already tense atmosphere into an uncontrollable mess. Kimmel stood frozen, trying to regain his composure, but failing. He backed himself into a corner, and the only way out was to try to cover up the truth. Well, you see, folks, Kimmel said, his voice noticeably shaky, despite his attempt at nonchalance. He ran a hand through his hair, a familiar gesture to escape awkward situations. But now it just looked forced. Sometimes guests have off days. I think Snoop was just a bit too sensitive. He didn't seem to like talking about personal stuff on air. Kimmel forced a crooked smile, looking at the outraged crowd. Anyway, we've got plenty more exciting stuff coming up. We'll be right back after the break. The ad break music played again, but it couldn't drown out the audience's discontent. Even as the mics cut off, shouts of "Jimmy, you messed up" echoed. On the control room monitors, producers frantically signaled Kimmel, their faces twisted with worry. One of them, likely the director, switched on a mic and hissed angrily into Kimmel's earpiece. "What the hell did you just do, Jimmy? This is a disaster. We need to fix this now." Kimmel just smirked, brushing off the scolding. His ego was too big to admit fault in the moment. When the show returned after the break, the studio atmosphere was chillingly cold. Most of the audience had left. Those who remained sat in silence, their eyes fixed on Kimmel with clear contempt. Kimmel's jokes, usually met with hearty laughter, now fell flat into an empty void. No applause, no smiles in response. He was like a comedian performing to a brick wall. Every attempt to lighten the mood failed miserably, leaving him increasingly flustered and angry. Backstage, the chaos was even worse. Phones rang non-stop in the production office. Snoop Dogg's manager, Frank White, was speaking heatedly with his legal team. "Absolutely no contact from Jimmy Kimmel, or anyone from this show to Snoop Dogg," Frank ordered, his voice firm. "And we'll have an official statement soon. This is not how you treat an artist like Snoop Dogg." Kimmel's crew members, who witnessed the entire incident, began whispering among themselves. "He's lost it," one assistant murmured to another. "I've never seen him lose control like that. Snoop Dogg was just speaking the truth." Another nodded in agreement, their eyes revealing disappointment. Jimmy went too far this time. No one's saving him now. Meanwhile, a real storm was brewing on social media platforms. Videos capturing the entire confrontation, from Kimmel's initial sarcastic jab to Snoop Dogg's poised exit, were uploaded and spread at lightning speed. On Twitter, hashtags #SnoopDoggKing and #KimmelIsOver quickly dominated global trends. With each passing minute, millions of new tweets flooded in, turning the incident into a global phenomenon. Users didn't hold back in expressing their outrage and support for the legendary rapper. At Hip Hop Head, bluntly stated, "Can't believe Kimmel. What was that? Snoop Dogg is a legend. He doesn't deserve this treatment." #KimmelIsOver. While at Music Lover praised, Snoop Dogg's composure under insult is pure class. "Kimmel's a clown. He dug his own grave." #SnoopDoggKing. At the same time, on Instagram, thousands of short videos, memes and edited images about the incident flooded feeds. Every dramatic moment of the confrontation was clipped, enhanced with effects, and shared widely. Celebrity accounts, from fellow rappers to actors and athletes, began posting in support of Snoop Dogg and openly criticizing Kimmel's behavior. On TikTok, the most dramatic snippets of the confrontation garnered tens of millions of views within minutes. Featuring Kimmel's rude remarks and Snoop Dogg's sharp responses, these videos quickly became trending, accompanied by effects that clearly conveyed the online community's outrage. The entire entertainment world seemed to be watching and siding with Calvin Broadus, the man who upheld his dignity against an unhinged Jimmy Kimmel. Major entertainment outlets, like TMZ, Variety, and The Hollywood Reporter immediately ran breaking news. Bold, sensational headlines appeared on their home pages. Snoop Dogg kicked off Jimmy Kimmel's show after heated clash. Snoop Dogg gives Kimmel a lesson in respect. Reporters began digging, reaching out to insider sources to uncover more about what happened. In the executive offices of ABC, the network airing Kimmel's show, phones rang off the hook. An emergency meeting was called immediately. The executives' faces were pale. They knew this wasn't just a minor scandal, but a PR disaster that could cost millions and severely damage the network's reputation. The real battle was just beginning. While Jimmy Kimmel tried to quell the tidal wave of outrage, and his career sank in the storm, Snoop Dogg emerged as a beacon of resilience and dignity. He didn't choose to add fuel to the fire, or directly attack his aggressor. Instead, Snoop Dogg took the high road, showcasing the class of a legend. A few days after the shocking incident, Snoop Dogg appeared on a major rival show, The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. The world held its breath, awaiting his response. The atmosphere in this studio was warm and respectful, a stark contrast to the bitter experience on Kimmel's show. Jimmy Fallon, with sincerity and professionalism, welcomed Snoop Dogg as an honored guest, avoiding direct mention of the controversy, but showing unwavering support through his demeanor and questions. When asked about his new music projects, Snoop Dogg seized the opportunity to share deeply about the values he's always upheld. "I believe music is about connecting people, delivering positive messages," he said, his tone calm but weighty. "It's not a tool to divide or degrade others. As artists, we pour our souls into every melody, every lyric. We deserve respect," he continued, looking directly into the camera, as if speaking to millions of fans and the entertainment industry. "In this life, the most important thing is knowing your worth. Never let anyone trample on your dignity, no matter who they are, or how powerful they seem. Respect is a two-way street. If you don't get it, don't hesitate to turn your back and walk away. Some things can't be bought with money or ratings, honor and self-respect." Snoop Dogg's words were not just a personal statement, but a profound lesson for the entire entertainment industry. He didn't name Kimmel, but everyone knew what he was addressing. His calm, reasoned, and dignified response won over the public completely. From a victim of disrespect, he transformed into a symbol of resilience and strength. Snoop Dogg's career not only remained unscathed, but soared to new heights. His speech went viral on social media, shared millions of times, far surpassing any negative viral moment Kimmel had tried to create. Producers, directors, and hosts from around the world reached out to Snoop Dogg's team, expressing admiration and inviting him to major projects. Film offers, lucrative endorsement deals, and collaboration opportunities with prestigious brands poured in. He became the face of campaigns advocating for respect and ethics in the entertainment industry. Snoop Dogg was no longer just a rapper, but a street philosopher, a mentor, a cultural icon, who stood up for core values. The hip-hop community, which always valued authenticity and self-respect, grew even prouder of him. Young artists looked to him as a role model, proof that success doesn't require compromising dignity. The incident between Snoop Dogg and Jimmy Kimmel sparked a wave of positive change in the entertainment industry. Talk shows, especially late-night ones, began re-evaluating their scripts, interview content, and treatment of guests. Pressure from the public and artists forced them to commit to a more respectful environment. "Jimmy Kimmel taught us a lesson," another prominent host said in an interview. "Sometimes we get so caught up chasing ratings that we forget what matters most: respect for the people sitting across from us." Snoop Dogg reminded us all of that. This event was a turning point. It affirmed that even in the competitive, cutthroat world of entertainment, dignity, authenticity and respect remain enduring values. And Snoop Dogg, with his calm yet resolute demeanor, became the hero of a small revolution, a costly lesson for those who dare disrespect others. The shocking incident between Snoop Dogg and Jimmy Kimmel went down in history, not just as a television scandal, but as a wake-up call for the entire entertainment industry. The consequences Kimmel faced were unavoidable and severe, reshaping his career and the future of Jimmy Kimmel Live. Immediately after the incident, Kimmel was forced to take a break from the show. The network, under immense pressure from the public and sponsors, had no choice but to issue a vague statement about his unexpected hiatus. But everyone knew it was a punitive move. Behind the scenes, Kimmel was a man shattered by anger and denial. He blamed his crew, Snoop Dogg, and the oversensitivity of artists, but never himself. That stubbornness sealed his fate. When Kimmel returned after 2 weeks, his show was no longer the same. Ratings plummeted to historic lows. The audience, hurt and disappointed by his behavior, turned away. Sponsors, unwilling to have their brands tied to a major scandal about disrespect, pulled out en masse, causing millions in financial losses for the network. This forced ABC's leadership to act. Kimmel attempted a public apology on air. He read a scripted statement, his tone reluctant, his face showing more irritation than remorse. "I want to apologize to Snoop Dogg if my questions made him uncomfortable," he said formulaically, adding a weak joke to wrap it up. The apology was seen as insincere, lacking remorse, and indirectly blaming Snoop Dogg. It only fueled the fire of public outrage, reinforcing the belief that Kimmel was a hypocrite, with no regret. The incident was the final straw, exposing the toxic work culture at Jimmy Kimmel Live. Emboldened by public support, current and former employees spoke out about Kimmel's abuse of power, berating behavior, and poor treatment behind the scenes. HR complaints surged, forcing the network to launch a rigorous internal investigation. It painted a grim picture of a high-pressure, disrespectful workplace, where Kimmel frequently yelled at staff and guests, fostering an atmosphere of fear. Ultimately, unable to withstand the financial, public and internal pressure, ABC made the tough call: Kimmel's contract would not be renewed. Jimmy Kimmel Live, once a highly successful late-night talk show, faded into obscurity. Kimmel vanished from the main stage, his career nearly destroyed by his own arrogance and disrespect. He became a living lesson for anyone in entertainment. Power can lift you high, but a lack of ethics will drag you to the depths. Meanwhile, Snoop Dogg's legacy was solidified stronger than ever. He was not just a hip-hop legend, but a symbol of integrity, someone who stood up for his own dignity, and that of others. His actions set a crucial precedent. No one, no matter how famous, deserves to be insulted or exploited on air. The incident emboldened other artists to set boundaries and demand respect from shows and media. The Jimmy Kimmel Snoop Dogg event will forever be remembered as a turning point in talk show culture. It's a reminder that in a temptation-filled, fiercely competitive entertainment world, authenticity, self-respect, and respect for others remain the highest values, surpassing all ratings and profits. And Snoop Dogg, with his calm but resolute demeanor, taught Hollywood a costly lesson about the true meaning of dignity. The story of the confrontation between Snoop Dogg and Jimmy Kimmel deeply reflects pressing issues in modern American life. It's not just about a failed talk show, but a testament to the importance of respect and dignity in all personal and professional interactions. One of the clearest lessons is Kimmel's deliberate disrespect. When he repeatedly probed Snoop Dogg's personal life, referencing Smoky Clouds or Doggy Style Records' financial issues, he crossed the line from humor into personal attacks. This reflects a troubling trend in today's American society, where cancel culture and creating drama for views have become common. Many are quick to dig into private lives, exaggerate mistakes, or even fabricate stories for attention, ignoring basic ethical standards. The lesson here is never get swept up in the cycle of disrespect, whether as a victim or bystander. In contrast, Snoop Dogg's response is a model to admire. Despite provocation, he maintained his composure and dignity, only responding when Kimmel crossed the final line. His words, like "I'm Snoop Dogg, I'm not a prisoner in your show," or "respect isn't something you can buy with cheap ratings," were not just self-defense, but a statement of values. In a society where anger flares easily, and instant retaliation is common, Snoop Dogg's ability to control his emotions and respond measuredly is a powerful reminder. The story also shows the consequences of abusing power. Kimmel, as the host with control over the show, used his position to attack personally. His downfall, from audience boycotts to his contract not being renewed, proves that power isn't a free pass for wrongdoing. The lesson for everyone is to use power responsibly and ethically, whether in work, family or social media. Finally, the strong support from the public and artists for Snoop Dogg, alongside the boycott of Kimmel, shows that despite society's occasional obsession with fleeting drama, deep down, people crave and honor true values, like authenticity, self-respect, and mutual respect. This is a vital reminder to live with principles and stand up for what's right, no matter the circumstances. If you find the story of Snoop Dogg's resilience and the lesson about respect meaningful, subscribe to the channel to not miss our next in-depth analyses. Thank you, and see you in the next video, where we'll continue exploring the raw slices of the entertainment world.